Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sea Asia Startup Innovation Showcase. What's your pitch worth? I'm Ning, and together with me, I have Gao Ming. We're from Pier 71, and that's Port Innovation Ecosystem Reimagined at Block 71, a program that's co-founded by the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore and NUS Enterprise, with the aim to boost innovation in the maritime industry and establish Singapore as a vibrant maritime ecosystem.
That's right. As a supporting partner of Sea Asia, we are thrilled to have 5 maritime startups who have stepped up to the challenge of pitching their solutions to a VC panel for a slice of their virtual investment pie.
So each startup gets 3 minutes a pitch, followed by 5 minutes Q&A together with 3 judges today. And they are Mr. Joel Ang, Vice President of Investments at Wakemaker Partners, an early-stage venture capital firm investing in enterprise and deep tech companies. There is Mr. Tim Reinsch, Managing Partner at TecPier, venture capital investor in early-stage maritime and supply chain technology startups, and Tim is joining us from Germany today. Last but not least, we have Ms. Lin Chao, Associate at Qualgro, a venture capital fund that provides funding to B2B tech startups in areas like data, SaaS, and AI.
The panel has up to $2 million in virtual funds to invest into each startup. The top 2 startups with the most virtual fund will each walk away with a Sea Asia 2023 exhibition booth that's worth $7,000 USD each. The 5 startups will pitch in the following order, starting with Aliciabots, followed by SG Smart Tech, Mizzen, Teqplay, and lastly, LEDR Technologies. Without further ado, let's invite Arpan from Aliciabots to turn on your camera and bring up your deck, please. Hi, Arpan. Thanks for joining us today. You have 3 minutes to pitch to the VC panel.
Perfect.
Your 3 minutes countdown starts now.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are a Boston-based robotics startup with an aim to bring robotics into the maritime industry. Before proceeding, I would like you guys to hold on to this alarming fact. The pollution caused by one of the biggest ships is equal to that caused by 50 million cars. And that is the scale of the problem we are dealing with. On an average, the shipping industry consumes 5 million barrels of fuel per day. And that expense adds up to $60 billion over a year. The industry is in constant search for making the vessels more efficient. And one of the major reasons for fuel inefficiency is biofouling. So what is biofouling? The picture that you see shows a clean ship hull. If you leave anything underwater for too long, a thin film of green-colored microorganisms collects on it. While this may look innocent, it creates a lot of resistance as the ship cuts through the water. And as a result, a ship's engine has to work harder and ends up burning a lot more fuel. The illustration here shows how with the increase of biofouling thickness, the fuel consumption increases drastically, and it gets even more difficult to remove the biofouling. Currently, a diver goes underwater and physically scrapes off the biofouling. This is both time consuming and expensive. Also, it can only be done in ports. Therefore, ships end up getting their hull cleaned only once a year. Once a year isn't that often. As a result, biofouling keeps collecting on a ship's hull and the ship ends up burning more fuel than it needed to. Can you recognize this place? This is a dentist clinic and nobody likes to sit on that chair. If you brush your teeth every day and take care of your teeth, then chances are you wouldn't have to sit on that chair frequently. Similarly, if you clean a ship's hull regularly, you will never need to burn all that extra fuel and send divers underwater. But you can only clean a ship's hull regularly if you make it as affordable and easy as an electric toothbrush. And that's what we have done with our product Rover Clean. Rover Clean is so affordable, every ship can keep one on board. And it is autonomous and it cleans the hull all by itself. If needed, once a month. There is no need for any human intervention and it's completely hassle-free and easy to use. Best of all, the ROI on this is fantastic. Something that's cost less than $10,000 per year can save you as much as $1 million a year. We believe automation is going to play a key role in the future of maritime industry. And we want to be a part of it by being a robotics company that is dedicated to solving maritime challenges. Currently, we are piloting Rover Clean 1.0 in Singapore, and we have some great results that we have seen. The maritime industry currently spends more than $45 billion on manpower. Now, this manpower is based on ships and shipyards, doing all kinds of routine tasks. We feel over the next 10 years, we can take a big chunk of that market. Finally, with a competent team, we believe we can achieve this goal of automating the ocean.
Your time is up.
Maybe just the last sentence to wrap up.
Yeah, so with a competent team, we believe that we can achieve this goal of automating the ocean. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Arpan, for that sharing. You have 5 minutes for the judges.
Yeah, I'm just thanks for that, Arpan. Really interesting, and I do get a problem as well. I'm just wondering, like, do you see this occurrence of biofouling happening in certain regions more, like in the Asia waters where it's warmer and everything, and because of that as well, like where are you focusing right now in terms of like the markets, which ports are you focusing on at this point?
So it's actually not a port, it's basically Asia Pacific region. Even in European region also there are a lot of biofouling. Even in the Pacific region there are a lot of biofouling. Now, there are these marine organisms are very different in different parts of the world. So, a part of the study is also to understand how these different organisms behave in this different water bodies. So, this robot would also come with image processing algorithms and artificial intelligence that will let us know that, in Pacific region, these kind of biofoulings occur more. In maybe the Asia Pacific region, this kind of biofoulings occur in some different patterns. So that's the insight that we want from this robot as well. So that it gives the idea to the paint manufacturers as well to how to adapt their, paint quality based on, how the vessel is operating.
Right. I'll just focus a bit more on the product so that I guess my fellow judges can dive into a bit more on the commercialization after. So I'm wondering, how does the hardware work right now? Like, do you need a person to manually pilot it, or does it run by itself? Do you need the ship to be kind of stationary, or it can just run as the ship is running? If you could share a little more about that, that'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, yeah, you do need a person that will be able to just drop the robot, but it's just that it has to place it at certain position. And from there on, the robot is going to do it autonomously all by itself. That's it. But you have to train it once. So once you show it the path that you want it to go, it will again do it in a repetitive fashion and won't require any human intervention. So it is kind of autonomous. You just have to place it. Then, the ship crew can do some other task and it completes the entire cleaning path and then comes back to the same place. And secondly, your second question was,
so it can run while the ship is traveling, or do you need the ship to be stationary? And I guess the other thing is, as you're disposing of this bio waste, right? Like, do you actually need to siphon it up, or can you just dispose it into the sea?
Exactly. So one of our strongest strategies is that, this robot is there with you while you are moving from one port to another. So you can clean while the ship is in motion at 10 knots or 12 knots speed. So that's the biggest advantage that we have here as well. And we feel that can reduce the downtime significantly. And it can be used as something, a part of your ship, right? Or some equipment that is part of your ship.
Got it. Thanks, Arpan. I'll pass it over to my colleagues.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
Maybe briefly, as you just mentioned, 10 to 12 knots. Is that sort of the maximum the ships can be going at? So does it limit the speed range of a commercial vessel, or
so
can you also go 15 to 18?
So, we have kept a factor of safety of 2 points because this is a very new concept. When we told the ship owners that, what, you can do it while the ship is moving, they got a little scared. Right? What, you're going to put this thing when the ship is moving? I said, yes. So as a starter, we're just trying to be really safe, because we don't want to, someone to operate this at a very high speed and at a very turbulent weather condition. So we recommend Beaufort 5 and the speed of 10 to 12 knots. As of now, but are we sure we can certainly improve on, we can certainly achieve 15 to 20 knots at which the current speed of the vessels are.
Okay, and maybe last question for me, your business model, how are you going to monetize this?
So we are planning to basically have a subscription plan where we say for a yearly basis, we lease out to you, and on a yearly basis, you pay out for services and some sort of a data analytics services too, where we build the reports for you as well. We can build inspection reports, we can build hull cleaning reports and all those reports for you as well. So it's more of a service-based thing where we are just leasing it to you for a year, and then in the next year you can renew your license, basically, the subscription, basically.
Okay.
That's the idea.
All right, thank you so much, judges. I'm so sorry, that's the last question we'll be able to take for this round. Is that okay? So we'll save. We'll let Chao go first for the next candidate.
No worries.
Discussions, we're gonna have to head over to the breakout room,
Okay.
and it should appear right now.
So
What do you think about the presentation? Yeah.
it's great, especially with all the very pictorial and visual illustrations that you have showed to the judges just now, especially your analogy about a visit to a dentist. You want to have a very preventive measures to prevent this built up on the ships and the vessels itself, especially like the bots it's able to actually operate by itself with minimal supervision from a human. I thought it's very impressive.
All right.
Yes. So actually, what's Alicia's future plan, in terms of development?
Thank you very much to Arpan for joining us today. Stay on. We have another 4 more startups to come online and pitch. And so we'll reveal the top 2 winners at the end of the session. Thank you so much, Arpan. See you.
Thank you, Arpan.
See you again.
Thank
See you around. Bye.
Thank you.
Now let's welcome our next candidate, and that's Abhinav from SG Smart Tech. Abhinav, would you like to turn on video camera right now? And you can also bring up your deck.
Okay.
All right, and then you have 3 minutes to pitch, and your 3 minutes starts now.
Hi guys, thanks for having me here. So right, I'm from SG Smart Tech, and we are basically focusing on authenticating the maritime digitalization process. Right, we have built a very robust ship authentication protocol over the last 1.5 years, and we want to dive right into it. I mean, since we've only got 2.5 minutes left, so we dive right into it. So as you know, two-factor authentication, right? The passwords that we have had for people, they're frequently forgotten, and that caused a lot of serious damage to a company's reputation as well as coffers as well. So this has basically led to a 2FA technology, and 2FA basically works on 2 principles: something that you have and something that you know. Okay, so modern applications basically use these 2FA in the form of either an OTP or a hardware device or an Authy app that you can install on your phone, or in our case, a ShipAuth, which actually identifies a non-mobile device, right? Now, the questions that you should be asking is, how do you ascertain what information is coming from the vessel is indeed coming from the vessel and not from somebody else? And how do you sort of get comfort from knowing that the information that you're getting from that respective vessel is indeed coming from that vessel? All right, so what is ShipAuth? ShipAuth is basically a way that we capture very key parameters of the ship, and we basically develop an application on the master's computer, which generates a 6-digit OTP code, right? That will then be used to authenticate an application that uses ShipAuth to verify the vessel identities management. We have a very simple KYC process that we follow for a secure installation, and basically that tracks the computer on the ship, right? So technology comparison, as you can see, ShipAuth can be used across multiple applications. The ShipAuth framework, this is a bit too much, but I will just go right into it and say that basically it is encrypted at rest and in motion and during validation. Right, ShipAuth cases, we use it currently in the electronic supply delivery note process. As you can see, it takes about 20 days to get the delivery notes back. So we have ShipAuth that basically allows people to upload the deliveries and to get their authentication back into their system via the ShipAuth mechanism, right? That's all I have.
All right, thank you so much. I'm right on time. All right, and the judges have got 5 minutes with you, so I'm gonna let the judges start their questions.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much, Abhinav, for the pitch. Just one question from me at this point. Just want to understand, without your solution, how are messages traditionally transmitted between the ships and the end user?
So currently, ships generally have physical copies, papers, trails, and all that stuff that you currently authenticate using it. Or, if you have third-party applications like e-commerce applications and stuff like that, a lot of them have their own way of validating and authenticating the messaging coming from the ship. Again, it's a very cumbersome process and it's a standalone process. So we are actually forming that layer of allowing these third-party applications to authenticate and validate the information actually coming from a ship. So we actually partner with various application providers like bunker delivery nodes and electronic delivery nodes, and especially the IoT devices that are now coming on board.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So if I understand your solution correctly, you sort of want to become an authentication layer between ship and shore communications as far as any vessel is concerned.
That is
sort
correct.
Of establish a standard and to ensure compliant communication protocols in a sense.
Yes, that is correct. We are sorry.
So who are you competing with here the most?
Well, actually, we have actually tried to research on a lot of these companies, like I guess DocuSign or the Adobes. They are there to basically authenticate or get the digital signature, but apparently they don't validate a non-mobile device. They use either a mobile phone or an email, which is a very weak sort of authentication means. So I think we are really the first one, and we've actually applied for a patent for our product already in Singapore.
All right.
Okay, I'm just wondering, what do the stakeholders involved have to lose? Like, what is at risk right now if they don't use this solution or have it properly authenticated?
A lot of it. So currently, our biggest issue that we face with our the partners that we've been working with, the application providers, basically, is fraud. Actually, that's number one. Number two is a way of you can build a lot of authentication on the shore side, but it's very difficult to get it on the ship. And the ease of use for once you install Shipon, you can literally use it globally. It doesn't require you to have internet. It's an offline piece, and you just literally just install it on your vessel master's computer, and that. So if you move that computer away from the vessel master's cabin and put it in the chief engineer's cabin, it will not work. For example, so that is, I think, what the stakeholders are really liking or sort of happy about to have.
So assuming I have enough time, so wondering, today, the stakeholders that you're selling to, I'm assuming they're the vessel owners. What gets them across the line? Like, how are you pitching it in a way where they will be like, I have to have this solution, otherwise I'm at risk?
So currently, it's like SingPass. We have SingPass in Singapore, right? It's very difficult to sell SingPass. So what we did was we created another application called Electronic Supply Delivery Note, which is physical copies of supplies that go on board the vessels. And the master signs on all of them. Now, given the contactless period that we are in, a lot of these guys don't go up. So items don't get authenticated properly, and it takes almost close to 14 days for the ship chandler, the supplier, to get back his physical copy, which is signed and stamped by the vessel. Through the platform, they get it instantaneously. So you're actually cutting down on 14 days of credit terms. If you're doing $1 million a week, you can do the math. It's a lot of money for the suppliers.
Got it. Thanks, Abhinav.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Abhinav. And the judges are going to a breakout room to have the discussion, and then Abhinav, you and I are going to have a conversation.
Okay. All right.
All right. See you later on, judges. Okay, Abhinav. So how have you been doing?
Oh, it's been a busy couple of months, I guess. Yeah. Busy is good. We have a good. We're getting some good partnerships with the terminal operators now, and IRS has come on board to authenticate the system. So it's just really sort of, I think, catching up. But again, it's a very, I think it's a bit ahead of its time. So it'll take some time, but I think we're getting good, at least getting good vibes from the application providers. Yeah.
That's interesting, you know. So I'm just sharing with our audience here today, right?
Mhm.
So how did you get inspired to do this? Was it like a problem that you were after, or was it like you've got something to you know, to
Well, actually, it's interesting because initially we were commissioned by MPA to sort of digitalize the space, and then over the time we realized that it's the digitalization is good, but the biggest problem that everyone is having, or all the application developers are having, is that they are not able to authenticate the service that has been rendered to the ship. And they each keep doing their own unique way of authenticating or validating the service that has been rendered to the ship. So I said, why don't we solve that problem and ease that burden of these application developers, because then it just becomes something that you can latch on like an API. And again, the beauty of ShipAuth is that it can be used globally. You don't need to be connected to the internet or to be in Singapore per se. So I think that was how it sort of basically born out of that whole think tank from MPA.
That's really interesting, actually. So it's getting very fragmented, and I guess the more players you have, and everyone starts doing their own thing, and that's when the problem just gets snowballed into a much bigger problem, right? While everyone's trying to resolve all the digitalization processes and everything, but there is still this thing that's sticking in everyone's kind of like giving everyone problem. So you would definitely have to resolve that first. So we have our judges back. I guess the operations are all done.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So well, that's it today. Thank you so much, Avina, for spending time with us. We will let you know who the top 2 winners are later on with the largest sum of virtual investments. So do come back, and when we announce the results later on.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, John. Hi, Darren. Hello, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, and this is Darren and John from Mizzen. So I know they're dialing in from Australia. Welcome. So if John, you could share your screen, and you have your 3 minutes countdown timer at the bottom, and we are ready for you, and your countdown timer is going to start right now.
Okay, great. Oh, good afternoon. My name's John Charles. I'm the Managing Director and co-founder of Mizzen. I'm a former shipping line trade manager, and I experienced firsthand the inefficiencies in how the industry sets and distributes prices to its customers. I could see how technology could solve some of these problems, and we started Mizzen. Generally, shipping lines don't dynamically price. They don't set a freight rate to an individual vessel voyage based on its utilization factor. Rather, they set freight rates with a date validity, and that price is valid for any vessel that sails within that date range, regardless of its utilization factor. So there's a disconnect of price and real-time supply and demand. As a trade manager, I couldn't effectively use price as a lever to steer the cargo I wanted to carry onto the optimal vessel voyage at the best price possible. I had to make a suboptimal decision, and that cost the industry up to $14 billion in lost net contribution a year. But the way shipping services are being sold is rapidly changing, away from a reliance on manual processes and intuition-based pricing, and it's moving online. But currently, the level of sophistication that most carriers' digital products have is still relatively low compared to other industry standards. Most shipping lines are offering an instant quoting capability. That's a static lookup of a tariff price. They're not setting a rate dynamically based on an individual vessel voyage's forecast utilization factor, the underlying market conditions, and then optimized based on rules and algorithms. So for shipping lines to succeed in digital sales, they will need a new way for how they manage setting and distributing prices to their customers. And other industry sectors have used price optimization software to manage this transition. And we're building these applications to meet the operational requirements of container shipping. Its objective is to maximize profitability by optimizing cargo mix. Provides guidance to the trade manager about what rate level to set and how much product to make available at a particular allocation. It integrates with the shipping line's existing operating systems and enables them to manage this digital channel alongside their current business. So there's a two-part value proposition: increasing revenue and decreasing variable cost by optimizing container flows. And these two factors can combine to offer a net contribution improvement of up to $83 per TEU. To succeed in online sales, shipping lines will need price optimization software. And we have the right product for the right market at the right time, and we're seeking your investment to leverage these opportunities. Thank you.
Right. Okay, so well, 3 minutes up right now, and I'll hand the time over to the judges for the questions.
Tim, would you like to go first?
Sure. John, Darren, nice to meet you. Thanks for this very insightful presentation. Maybe with regards to your two-pronged value proposition, especially the variable cost reduction, does that only or primarily accrue to the shipping lines, or maybe also to other stakeholders involved?
Potentially, I think it could be used for, yes, anyone that needs to optimize their container flows. It's particularly valuable to the container shipping lines. You know, as well as they don't just have to fill a ship with their optimization software, they have to fill it with the most profitable cargo mix of cargo. And a big factor in the profitability is the empty container repositioning cost. And the software is designed to help you optimize your cargo flows. So you take bookings from areas of surplus and move them to areas of deficit. That's the logic behind it.
Okay, sorry, just looking at the time, to be brief, obviously this goes at the heart of what the shipping lines, right, are doing. So how exactly are you trying to sort of monetize this?
Monetize it, it's through software as a service.
Okay.
So they would utilize the price optimization software.
Okay, and you say you have one contract in place?
We do, yeah. We're working with our first carrier to implement the first commercial iteration of our product.
Okay, and last question: how long have you been working on this solution so far?
So Mizzen's been sort of operating for over 5 years. We've built automated rate quoting software for 8 shipping lines in this market. We also have rate management software used by freight forwarders that are launching an online sales channel. But this product has really come out of the Oceans of Opportunity program last year, and we've sort of been able to obtain some strong market interest from the carriers by what we're doing.
Okay.
Great, yeah. So actually, having been around for 5 years, I think you know the market pretty well. I was just trying to get a better understanding of Mizzen compared to, let's say, guys like Clear Metal, which recently got acquired by Project 44. So, you know, are there certain regions that we're more focused in or specialized in? Or how do we? I guess what's the difference? The main differentiation there.
So we're a shipping line centric product, although it could be used by any asset operator. So the notion is we enhance the demand forecasting capability. So we have access to the carrier's ERP system from which we're able to draw very granular historic booking data, and from that we can build up a booking pace curve. We build it by individual service loop, by trunk port of load, trunk port of discharge, and equipment size type. So then we extract an inventory setup, so we know what real-time capacity a shipping line has to sell on a particular service. So we're forecasting a demand for that capacity, and then we make a price adjustment based on that. So the price adjustment is based on whether you have more cargo to carry than capacity to do so, or you have less cargo than capacity, and you make an upward or downward price adjustment. There is a notion of price elasticity that we use to help the carrier set that price adjustment, but it also enables them to actually redistribute allocation. So it can be a combination of a price adjustment, but an internal redistribution of allocation away from the weaker performing ports of load to the stronger ports.
Got it. So I'm conscious of time. Chao, do you have any questions you want to ask at this point?
Me just one quick question. In terms of geographical focus, any focus, for example, Asia-based carriers or European ones, etc.?
So the another, I guess, when you look at our target market is shipping lines, and when you look at the distribution of those, I think you've got in carrying capacity terms, 97% of the volume is between Asia and European headquartered lines. So that's our geographical market. But the software has been designed to be deployed in any geographical market and then scalable to any shipping line size operation, whether they're a regional niche carrier or a global operator. They can use the product because it's been designed and deployed at the individual service loop level.
Got it. I guess on average, when you're working with your customers, what is they'll typically have some internal benchmarks of like how much cost we've been able to save. Like, do we have some case studies of on average how much are we actually saving them?
We don't from the live data because at the stage we are with the deployment, but we're certainly able to model out for a carrier various scenarios about the potential benefits, and it's based on the uptake of volume that they can drive through their digital channel, what percentage of the business is open to optimization, what percentage you expect to be able to achieve in that uplift, and what your starting point is on the trade lane you're optimizing. So we have a series of models that we can work with a carrier through to simulate various best case scenarios, worst case scenarios, mid case scenarios of the output from using the software.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
Okay, maybe last question from my end in terms of the demand forecasting capabilities. Like how far in the future do you try to come up with these forecasts?
We don't. So it is predominantly derived as a decision for the spot market. So we're trying to make the dynamic price for the spot market. So we're forecasting out to about sort of 6 weeks before vessel departure. That's the time frame we're looking in at this point in time. But obviously we're tracking data across the contract market segment as well as the spot market segment, so the data can be used for longer term price assessments during the tender period.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's all 5 minutes we have with the judges. So the judges are going to a breakout room to deliberate, and then John, Darren, you and I are going to have a conversation with the rest of the audience here today.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, John, Darren, can I ask you something? So what excites you the most about your business?
I think right now it's the rapid change that we're seeing in digitalization and the realization that there's a demand to change the way pricing is being set. When we started this business, no shipping line was selling online, so we actually had to first create the mechanism for them to receive rate requests from their customers, automate a rate quote dispense. So that's how we started. But now it's this rapid uptake, huge interest in what we're doing. It's So
the groundwork that was done many years ago, or a couple of years back. So now you're harvesting, I suppose.
That's right. But we've also, we work with a partner in Maximation to develop. So they've had over 20 years of experience building revenue management software for the airline sector. They're also another Sydney-based company, and we could see the potential to bring together each other's experience and expertise and build a product for the unique needs of container shipping lines, how they need to optimize pricing, particularly factoring this added complexity around the need to manage the empty equipment fleet as well as just purely the space on the vessel. So yeah, we've been able to leverage their prior experience in revenue management and being able to bring our shipping line product experience together and combine them into this product.
And what do you think would be the next big challenge for you then?
So our focus is really about bringing on the next customers. That's something that we're looking to do, sort of building out the team, growing the company, but it's also adding more functionality to the product. So being able to enhance the forecasting and optimizing decision to be able to bring in new data points. So at the moment it's focused about the carrier's internal data set, but we want to be able to incorporate data around the external market environment. So being able to look at, well, as I'm optimizing a price, what is my competing consortia's position? What's the market rate sitting at, what's the demand for cargo, and incorporating that into the decision that the carrier makes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, even though it was a short period of time. So thank you again for your time, Darren, John. So do stay tuned for the announcement of the winners, and that will be happening later on. So we have 2 more teams that will be pitching.
When you come back quick, is that a good sign or a bad sign? That's what I'm trying to work out.
Well, we have to wait and see. We're not giving anything away. All right. See you later.
Right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Next, let's welcome Leon from TecPlay to turn on your camera and share your deck, please. Hi, Leon.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for joining us
Share my
today.
screen. All right.
Yes. So you have 3 minutes to showcase to the VC panel. Your 3 minutes countdown starts now.
Okay, good. Good day. My good friend Chao, he is an agent, and he is really proud of working in the maritime industry. You know, 90% of all goods go overseas. And if you look at the size of the vessels, and if you look at the port and the massive industry, it is really impressive. And the port call is really also a highly complex and highly collaborative process, which he is orchestrating. Up to 25 stakeholders are involved within this process, and a lot of things can go wrong, and a lot of things do go wrong actually in this process. A lot of inefficiency, as we like to call them. And everyone considers this to be Chao's problem, the agent's problem. But is it really the agent's problem? Not really. If you look at the port stay, if you look at the lower asset utilization, if you look at the risks on the marriage or the additional costs that are being made, it is not really, it's an industry's problem. It almost, if you look at the decision-making process in the decisions that are being taken in the port call, lots of decisions are being made, and they are made on poor information. It's almost as going to the casino. It's taking a blind risk. If we look at the challenges with information, we see a lot of information is being shared either through phone calls, documents, or emails with a lot of stakeholders. So information is not digitally available. It is often not real time, and it's often not shared. And that has an impact on the industry. There is a lack of visibility, and the predictability of the processes is low, let alone the cumbersome information exchange, how timely it will cost. We did some calculations on what are the inefficiencies, and it adds up to a staggering number of 85 billion per year, and translated into emissions is approximately 10% of unnecessary emissions that are being made within the industry. So we have created a solution, a shared point of truth, in which we actually capture events, create timestamps, and do predictions, and make that available for all actors within this port call. So how does it work? What we do is we bundle information on vessels, on routes, on port infrastructure, on AES where they are, but also on port community systems. And we combine that information in what we call the business stories, the insights that are required for the actors to make their decisions. We make that available through technical interfaces, APIs, on statuses, timestamps, events, performance, etc., but also through applications. And the real magic happens if clients actually add their data to it. If they put their questions on the table, or they put additional data in there, then we really can create new insights. So all in all, it's all about better insights to reduce the waste within this process. If we look at the market is large. We do have annually 5 million port calls going on per year. We do have these 25 stakeholders which are actually involved within the process, and millions of supply chains are being impacted by these flows. So there's a lot of need for this information.
Thank you, Leon. That's 3 minutes, but you will have another 5 minutes with the judges.
Yep.
All right, judges, over to you.
Yep, thanks, Leon. So I can't say I'm an expert within this space, but I'm just wondering, like, who are the key customers you sell to today, and what's the pitch to them? Like, what do they have today, and how would your solution, be able to reduce all these inefficiencies?
If you look at the clients that we do have the main actors within the port call. So we do have terminals as client, we do have shipping lines as client, we do have port authorities. The agent is taking an important role in this process. And what we do provide them is insights in making these decisions which are continuously required. For the terminal, it's on the arrival of the vessel or the likelihood that it will arrive or the risks that it's running. For the shipping line, it's about the congestion in the port. It's about availability of resources within the port. And for suppliers, it's all about the vessel on when will it arrive and what does need to happen and is it available. So that is the information, or that are the insights that we are exposing to our clients.
So who are you selling this to initially or primarily? And who of all these stakeholders are your paying customers?
We do have paying customers in all segments, but typically a lot of it is on shipping lines who are trying to reduce the port stay to get better insights on what is happening within a port call. And they are providing that information, or they're making the information accessible to the agent. So it's either the agent or the shipping line. But again, we also do have terminals who are in need of having better visibility of the vessels approaching. So basically, it's this information which we combine. But yeah, making money from all, but the main source at this point in time is shipping lines, and that's about 60 to 70%.
But Leon, there are quite a lot of stakeholders involved, in every port call. How do we incentivize all these stakeholders to contribute to the data? Because like you say, a lot of them are using like phone calls, text messages, etc. How do you get all this into your system to, basically help streamline the whole process?
We are capturing information independent of these actors. So we can provide information based on AI and all kinds of machine learning algorithms, which gives the visibility and the predictability. So we are not depending on information flows from clients. However, information is being published. Terminals are publishing schedules, port communities, systems are publishing information. We also get that information in and we combine that, and that will give us the power or the ability to inform stakeholders proactively.
And I'm wondering, among all of your different customer groups right now, is there one particular group that's feeling the most pain from not having, all of these accurate port call information, and who would those be?
The pain, as also mentioned in the pitch, is actually for everyone. If you are a supplier and you need to wait, the pain is that you cannot meet your planning and that you do have low asset utilization or people waiting on the key. So they do have a large pain for the type of work they are doing. On the terminal, it's about preparing equipment for the loading and unloading. So they are really want to have the right people on the right spot. And for the shipping lines or charterers, they are really looking into, okay, what is the risk that I am running on my next port stay? All of them do have a pain. All of them are in need of information to optimize their process. I think this is the first step that we are taking. And the next step is, of course, if you start combining information and start sharing information. However, there is quite some reluctance within the industry to share information. So we are a first step to say, all right, this is already visible. And well, if you even start to share information specifically, we can actually get more, even better quality, higher level quality of insights.
Leon, maybe last question before we have to leave to the record room. How do you observe any strong network effects so far? Because I'm guessing you don't just want to roll this out locally port by port, right? Yourself. If you say it's your primarily shipping customers,
sorry?
If you say it's primarily shipping lines that you're catering to right now, or that are paying you for this, right?
We have focused on ports which have big issues, which is we started off in Rotterdam, we are running Houston, Singapore, and we are doing lots of smaller ports. Currently, we have 2,700 ports covered. In depth, we have the bigger hubs covered, and we are together collaborating with clients like Vopak, Shell, DMV to expand the visibility and go in depth on more and more ports. But yes, shipping lines are in need of having visibility within many ports. So the basics are there, and we are expanding and growing the insights that we can deliver.
Okay, all right, and that's 5 minutes. So judges, you may do deliberation in the breakout room, and then I'll continue chatting with Leon.
Okay.
Or wait for you. Okay, Leon, I'm going to ask you a couple of things, right? I mean, you were from the 2019 SmartPort Challenge cohort. So what has happened since the last we met? Any exciting news to share?
Yeah, I think we have been growing quite a lot. I think when we were participating, we were about 14 people, 12 to 14 people. Now we were almost 30. So yes, we have been growing. If you look at our client portfolio, we have really been able to onboard really large shipping lines, terminals, and global parts. So yeah, things are all in all going very well. And we also do have a very good collaboration with DNV on the LNG bunkering market. So yeah, we're really capable of picking up the insights and translating that into the insights that can be used, and also the applications that are used in the industry. So yeah, growing and strange times.
Yeah, well, that's definitely good news to hear. So lots of growth in from where you are. What about in Singapore? Any new friends that you made?
Sorry?
What about in Singapore? As in, there seems to be a lot of growth where you are, and that's still in Netherlands, right?
Yeah, there, but the growth is also, we are actually expanding in Singapore. And as you might know, we are collaborating very closely also with Claritex.
Yeah.
We're running quite some projects in Singapore and in Houston, also in Latin America. So we're really taking the insights that we do have to everywhere. Yeah, we did plan to start with a team over there in Singapore, but that was stopped at that point in time.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that's going to resume pretty soon. I mean, let's hope for the best.
Yeah, definitely. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So I'm just going to ask you to share one most exciting or the nicest memory you have of your time here in Singapore with us when we were doing SmartPort Challenge and Pure Anyone Accelerate.
Yeah, what I really enjoyed was working with Chris, the mentor. He was really dedicated in pushing us to the max to get the story out. So I really enjoyed that part of the collaboration, and of course the visits to the port. And I did also do a lot of talks to people. That was also great. But yeah, a lot of thanks to Chris.
I think that was the last time we went to the port, the Living Lab in the Pasir Panjang port. And after that, COVID hit, and we couldn't bring last year's cohort.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So all our judges are back. I trust that you all have the deliberation already. So Leon, you're gonna have to stay on a little bit to get the final announcements, the results of the top 2 winners. That's gonna happen after the next, and which is also the last team. So stay tuned and come back later on, okay?
Okay, good.
All right. Thank you so much.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
Next, welcome Edwin from LEDR Technologies to turn on your camera and to share your deck, please. Hi, Edwin. Thanks for joining.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you see my screen?
Yes. Yes, we can. So you have 3 minutes to pitch to the VC panel, and your 3 minutes countdown starts now.
All right, great. Thank you. So I'm Edwin. I'm the CEO of LEDR Technologies. Some of us believe that information has become the most valuable resource in the world. Probably true, given the billions of dollars that companies spend every year on creating new capabilities in data analytics, data science, big data, and what have you. Unfortunately, the promise of machine learning and artificial intelligence seems to still elude most companies. And we think part of the problem is because the notion of value that comes from large homogeneous sets of data may not be as much as we thought it was in the past. But what are you going to do when a lot of the systems, a lot of the solutions today are really geared around that, the notion of large data sets, when probably what we're going to need is something that can harness the disparate and distributed nature of knowledge that are all in these connected things. Introducing LEDR Orchestra, which is a knowledge space that is essentially a logical twin of the real world, What we do is we curate and connect to all the relevant knowledge sources that you might have. Big data sets, small data sets, structured, unstructured, even people's expertise. So that anytime you have a question, anytime you want to know something about anything, all you have to do is actually look at your logical twin. Because it's not about querying large data sets. It's about building and maintaining an up-to-date digital replica of the real world. And what we've found is this approach has given us certain advantages. For example, we don't move data around. We don't need to centralize data. We get the knowledge out of that because it's a completely distributed system. And that gives us levels of security that nobody else can do. The other thing that we've discovered in some of the work that we do in the US is we have privacy capabilities that nobody else has. So inevitably, we believe we're going to be starting to disrupt some of these conventional markets. So think about data integration as one. When you don't have to bring data together, what do you need to integrate? For data storage, if you're an IoT, what if you don't even need to store the data and actually analyze all that stuff? The one that we're most excited by is the automation that we're starting to do in things that used to be done by humans, by systems integrators, by consultants. Imagine projects that used to take months and years that can now be done in days and weeks. Imagine that. A little bit about the team. So I led Xbox Intelligence and IoT for Microsoft. Dr. Smart and Tim Dennison were at the NSA when they developed the core underlying technology. Albert used to be Chief Digital Officer at SATS, and Ian used to be the SVP at Marina Bay Sands, and now he consults the Singapore Tourism Board on all things data related. So we've moved from building a deep technology platform to providing turnkey industry solutions, primarily because we participated at PSNA1 last year and this year with the Singapore Tourism Accelerator. So what are we here for? We're raising $5 million because we want to double the number of industry solutions that we're providing. Not just seaports, but we want to do seaports and airports, not just hotels because it's hotels and F&B, because all these things are connected. We're LEDR Technologies, and what questions do you have for us?
Right, and you have, well, the judges will have 5 minutes to answer questions. So judges, over to you.
Thanks, Edwin. So I think it'll be actually helpful to get a case study of what the technology is used for within the maritime use case, because when you hear maritime as well as hospitality, I mean, those are two very different industries.
So we're doing something for Jurong Port, where they have done a lot of work with their various suppliers to build a new algorithm for something, right? A new algorithm to plan their berths, a new algorithm to plan their manpower. What they want to actually build is what they're calling Jurong Port Glass, which is really an overlay and a mission control command center that starts to actually integrate all these underlying subsystems that they've been investing in. And that's what the technology sort of helps them do, because it's an overlay technology that's built primarily for the interoperability of systems. It's built so that you don't need to consolidate all the data, normalize it, build common data infrastructure and all those things. We deal with all the plumbing, and we make it very easy for them to build whatever user application they want to interact with the knowledge space. It could be things for the planet. It could be things for the stevedore companies. It could be things for the shippers. All these connections are now integrated seamlessly without having to move and consolidate and replicate data.
I see. And when you're, oh, sorry, go for it, Tim.
No, go ahead. No, please go ahead.
So the pitch when you're speaking to Jurong Port, for example, would they look at this as more of a cost saving kind of idea where, instead of having a system integrator or someone come in to, as you mentioned, plumb all of these solutions together, you're providing a way more efficient solution, or is this more of a revenue generation approach?
Actually, it's a bit of both, right? Because it's a cost-saving solution because the cost of a system integration is dramatically reduced. The cost of a manual task is also dramatically reduced. There's a lot of manual things that we currently do. But because the system now helps you to optimize in real time continuously, if you have a disruption in the port operations, you know how to now re-optimize in real time. What is the optimal sort of way to restart some of these operations that you need? So that gives them actually more, I would say, resources and opportunities to be, making sure that you get good asset turnover in the port.
Okay, maybe briefly from my end. So I understand you're basically trying to do what Palantir does, though, try to take out some tweaks as with regards to their underlying technological framework and say, look, we can do it without certain hassles that you make everybody go through.
So two things that were different from Palantir, if that was a question, but I'll wait, sorry. What's the question, how are we different from Palantir?
I mean, I get that you're basically trying to do what Palantir does, right? To be sort of the central nervous system and brain in terms of decision making for complex decision making organizations.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. The difference between us.
Yeah. No, please elaborate on that.
Okay, so the difference between us and Palantir is really a consulting organization. When they engage with a company, they bring in about 50 people because we know some of the senior operational folks at Palantir. The difference between our system is we're a platform that has actually designed the system so that machines can find all these things. We can automate things that Palantir does. The second thing that we don't do is to say, you need to bring everything to our platform. We're building hooks, right? Think of us as, if we're not bringing things together to analyze, we're enabling the analytic to know where all these knowledge sources are, and then to go around and actually calculate and get the answers and then bring just the answers back. It's a bit of a different paradigm.
Actually,
all right. I'm afraid my audio cut out there for a moment, but I think I got it. Thanks for that.
Yeah, it's automating what Palantir needs humans and we use machines. That's the net of it.
I mean, in terms of setup time or the onboarding time for your end customers, based on your experience, how long is it and versus your competitors? Just want to get a sense of that.
Sure. So the average time for a data warehouse, which is what, every time someone needs a data warehouse, they come to us, and it's like usually in weeks and months, right? I mean, it used to be years, now it's weeks and months. If you're lucky, 8 weeks. Once we know the structure of the client, the knowledge structure, the logical structure in terms of the port, I know how to think about bursts and all that. Once we design that, it will take us less than a day. In less than a day, we will stand up the knowledge space and you can start to evolve it.
Got it. Okay. And just one more question. In terms of the revenue model, how are you guys planning to go about?
So there's a systems integration, usually around for large things like Jurong Port and all that, we're pegging at 150,000, and then monthly is going to be somewhere between 10 to 25. For the hotels, what we're doing is $50 a room and then $10 a month per room. So we have several of these chains coming up, and so it's almost 100% SaaS post the systems integration, which would probably take us 1 to 2 weeks.
Got it. Thank you so much, Edwin.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much. Now the judges will have to go into the breakout room to do their final deliberation.
Great.
And then Edwin, you'll stay on with me. We'll have a little bit of chat.
We'll catch up.
Yeah, catch up. So we also have our audience dialing in today. So you and I are gonna talk a little bit. So you joined SmartPort Challenge last year, right?
That's right.
That's based overseas, and was it challenging for you?
The time difference was very challenging. There were times where I needed a lot of caffeine.
But you pulled through it. And I mean, 2 whole months of joining us virtually from the United States, right? What time was it? It was like early 3, 4 a.m.?
Yeah, usually around 2 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, hats off to you. So this year we would. I think we also have a couple of teams that are based overseas. So what kind of advice would you give them? The teams that are joining the program. Not.
No, I mean.
Kind of advice would help.
Yeah, so I mean, what I did was to figure out a way to take naps here and there, so that I can actually sustain myself, in the wee hours of the morning. The scariest part was actually Virginia when she does her cold calls.
Right, that keeps you on your toes. But yeah. I mean, during your program aside, what about having to establish some kind of relationship, or attempting to talk to the corporates? I mean, after you have to do your validation.
Well, so it's no difference from like COVID-19, right? Everybody kind of does everything virtually now, right? So.
Also, you had an earlier practice.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess I was a bit used to it as well, because we were working a little bit with like PUB and DSO National Labs, and our team is sort of geographically split as well between Europe and the US. So we're kind of used to it. But definitely, I think the in-person thing is really hard. It's really hard to build a relationship. Fortunately, I'm still Singaporean, so I can go into my Singapore English if I need to. So that hopefully helps. Yeah.
Familiarity and welcome back to sunny Singapore, by the way.
Oh yes, thank you. I'm excited.
All right, and I have the other participants in the waiting room, so we're going to invite them to join us while we wait for the judges to come back with a final decision.
Oh joy.
I think we do have everybody, so I'm just going to do one round of introduction because when you guys were pitching, you guys didn't get to meet just now, right? So some of you may be familiar with one another. So I've got Edwin from LEDR Technologies, 2020 Smartport Challenge alumni. I've got Leon from Teqplay. Leon is now based in Netherlands. He also participated in a challenge when partly overseas, and he flew in as well. Leon is from the 2019 cohort. And then we have Abhinav from SG Smart Tech. We have Darren and where's John? Yeah, John from
there he is.
Martin from Aliciabots. And I see we have our judges back. Okay, so judges, are you ready to make the announcements? Would you let us know who are the?
We can. Yeah.
Right.
Shall I proceed?
Right. So yeah, maybe just before you announce it, I'm just gonna share what prizes they're gonna win. So the top two winners are gonna walk away with Sea Asia 2023 exhibition booth, one each. That is worth $7,000 US. That is for 2023 Sea Asia. So you will get to meet the corporates hopefully in person by then.
Yeah, would be great.
Right. And sponsored by them as well. So yeah, Joel, go ahead and announce the top two winners.
Sure. I feel the pressure and attention here, but I like to make it very clear that in a very short amount of time that we've managed to hear from all of the companies, it was actually a tough decision because everyone was solving different problems. The problems are all real. And to be honest, like I would say that the approaches are also pretty credible, and we love the teams that were all up against. I guess we also had to normalize a little for the stage of company, what the traction was as well as the teams that were in place. And where we landed on was, so I guess in first runner-up, it would actually be Aliciabots.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for the winner, would be LEDR Tech.
Okay. We didn't capture Edwin's short faces, but we have it on record.
Yeah, and it was really a tough decision because I think even among the judges, it was all it wasn't all like a consistent answer. So that showed that there was quite a lot of deliberation that went on behind that short couple of minutes that after every meeting. So yeah, I'll see if Chao and team has anything to add on as well.
Definitely.
First and foremost, it was a real pleasure and very much appreciated all your pitches. And obviously, it's very tough to just spare 3 minutes. I'm looking forward to engage with you afterwards, maybe a bit further, to learn more about where you actually really stand at the moment, because I think all 5 show a lot of promise.
Wonderful. Chao?
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this event. We really appreciate everybody's pitch. It was really impressive, and it was a tough decision coming down, making the final top 2 decision. And looking forward to connect after this event as well. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Great. Okay, and that's a wrap. Thank you so much to everybody for your participation. Thank you so much, Joel, Tim, as well as Chao for your time in selecting the top 2 winners. It certainly wasn't easy. I get it. And so to find out more about the rest of the startups that are joining Sea Asia this year, we have TecPlay. So TecPlay is also exhibiting, Claritech, Mizzen, Glimmatic, Debits, Mua, SG Smart Tech is also here, Bright3, Dravam, and Reef Air. So that's all. Do connect with us on LinkedIn so that you get the latest updates on Singapore's maritime innovation ecosystem. Until then, bye everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.